The role of the media, all media, that is different types, whether it's electronic or print, is to ensure that there is adequate information about electoral processes. There is fair, sometimes equal, but most of the time equitable coverage of candidates.
In 2017, International Media Support, IMS, in partnership with Media Alliance of Zimbabwe, with support from the EU delegation to Zimbabwe and the Norwegian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, launched the program Support to Media on Governance and Electoral Matters in Zimbabwe. The program's primary objective was to support a free and fair electoral environment where freedom of information and expression is guaranteed and where citizens are free to participate. This would be achieved through enhancing the capacity of mainstream and alternative media, as well as enhancing the accessibility by rural and urban citizens to a variety of credible and relevant media content on elections and governance matters in Zimbabwe. 133 mainstream journalists and editors participated in the training. 71 editors participated in coaching sessions. 216 citizen journalists were trained in election reporting. The average number of female participants was 30%.
The training of journalists, we were looking at a number of aspects, and it was also giving them the capacity in terms of electoral-related issues. As you know, that they're very technical. So we were invited at most of the workshops with the journalists and with the editors, where we're also making presentations in terms of giving capacity to the journalists.
I will say I benefited personally as an editor, and secondly as a station. Just a bit of the background is that Capital covered these elections as a new station on the market, new on the media space, but also new in terms of format. So it was good that we attended the workshop in Kadoma, just to understand what our expectations were going to be, being a talk station and understanding that our format was different from everybody else. And I think we benefited very much from the Kadoma experience, because a part of people that we invited there were CSOs and had a lot to say in terms of how media do their job and how we cover elections, and not forgetting that this election was also coming against a background where for the first time we would have a different leader from the ruling party that was running. So the environment would most definitely change. So we were challenged as media there to be able to understand or show understanding of electoral laws and how to operate within those confines. We were also made aware that we were expected to deliver to voters fair and balanced content, so to speak. And that was especially critical for Capital, to understand what it means to deliver fair and balanced content, but appreciating that that would come from a position of knowledge of how our environment is. So I think the Kadoma workshop was critical for us, both for me as a first-time editor then and for first-time media format. There was a lot of material that had been pre-packaged. So we made sure that as a team we would hold our weekly meetings prior to the elections, hold our diary sessions to share that information. Talk format is especially different in that it's like running a 24-hour news bulletin. So our coverage was not only in terms of our news reporters, but it had also a lot to do with our presenters, who we heavily rely on to have knowledge of what they're talking about. So it was critical that we had weekly diary sessions, that we brainstormed, made sure that everybody was on the same path in terms of understanding the electoral laws themselves, what were the do's and don'ts, what are the ethics in the media that we expected to follow, to understand even the electoral process itself. They were going to be the go-to people that then interact with our voters course, in terms of them being their audience, they had to be able to have the answers on call, even for the simplest thing as what happens when you get to the voting line. What do you do in the morning? It was critical that we made sure that our own program people were up to standard with what was expected, and that workshop provided that platform.
So the key issues which I got from this training was, one, how to package election issues, to understand the election cycle, to understand the risk to do with elections. From the training perspective, and I can tell you, I can share this with others who participated, this year's reportage focused more on issues. It moved more on dissecting the manifestos, moved more on how to ensure that at the end of it all, the people make decisions based on policies, not based on personalities or on rhetoric. The relationship between the government and the journalists, be it private, be it public, has always been that of a kitchen mouse situation, the other chasing against the other. But in these elections, there was a kind of like tolerance, which is very important. We have seen quite an improvement in the previous elections. I, from the private press, I would go and interview an NPF guy, challenge them on their manifesto, challenge them on issues that they are presenting, go to MDC guys, challenge them without showing any favor and without being harassed. It was not as bad as it was previously, particularly in 2008. Things were bad. But in this election, things were kind of like a bit of improved. Also, we could critique without fearing that you'd be arrested. What is only left is to inculcate the spirit and idea of tolerance among political supporters, not leadership, but supporters, who would understand that when I differ with their president on an issue, my difference to the president is not, or the party leader is not based on personality, but based on an idea. We must coexist. That's what matters. But at the end of it all, we are all Zimbabweans.
Vatori vedu venhau vanowanikwa mumawadi, isu tine mawadi 17 atiri kushanda nawo pachirongwa chedu chevemuganga FM vatinoti ma-citizen journalists. Zakira yakatibatsira kuva pacapacity kuti vakwanise kutora nhau kana vachishandisa mafoni avo kurekodha zvinhu zvinenge zvichiitika panenge pachiitwa macampaigns, nemuchirungu yatingati WhatsApp casting, yekuti munotora nemafoni mozoendesa zvamatora izvozvo kuti vanhu vese vazive kana vachibvunza mibvunzo vanobvunza sei. Kuri izvozvo tine maflash atiri kupa macombi drivers, ndo atinoti kabudisa nyaya dzinodzidzisa maflash topa macombi drivers. Atine ukama hwakanaka nevanochaira zvatinoti zvipipipi kunoko.
I've listened to quite a number of your skits, and in every combi that I've used, where the skits were being played, there were debates that came up, and people were discussing interesting topics. Out of those skits, we found a lot of youths, being encouraged to vote, a lot of women being encouraged to vote. The skits have really helped because we have been helped to demystify the factors that surround elections, and everybody was free to discuss and actually share with each other which party one was going to vote for without any intimidation or without any fear. I think it has really been helpful.
Zvakatipa courage yekuti takakwanisa kuva vanhu vari very strong, hatina kutya kumingla nevanhu, kusangana nevanhu. Like my elections emudana 2008 zvaityisa kuti ukwanise kubuda pachena kuti uri weparty ipo unoita nezvechichi, asi through ma-trainings izvi ndo metakakwanisa kugather courage yekuti hazvityisi, unokwanisa kuva free marights ako kuita zvinhu zvaunoda. Saka zvinhu zvakakwanisa kubatsira vanhu vemacommunities kuti vaite zvinhu zvavo vakasununguka. Takaita training like handiti uri writer, pane zvinhu zvakaita zvekuti mawen wati chichi zvetaidzidziswa kuti as a writer haufaniri kungonyora nyaya yawafunga, unofanira kuenda muground mune vanhu kuti unogather information yezvechokwadi. Toti it was successful nei. Muma communities matinogara like zve-BVR vanhu vazhinji vasingazvinzwisisi kuti what is BVR zvinombofambiswa sei. Asi petakakwanisa kunyorawo newsletter yesakubva newsletter takakwanisa kuhighlighta kuti BVR chii zvinofambiswa sei because majority yevanhu vaitya kuti hazvizokonzerese here after my election or before my election. Saka zvinhu zvava zvirimo munewsletter zvotakakwanisa kubatsira vanhu kuti vazive kuti zvinofambiswa sei zvichidai. Of which community munomu vakakwanisa kuzvigamuchira nekuti vaingoverengawo zvava zviri mubepa kwauchizodzidza since riri bepa rinonyorwa nelanguage yedu and ipepa riri affordable zvokuti haritengeswi.
120,000 copies of community newsletters were produced across 20 rural communities countrywide. The media played an effective role in disseminating information on electoral processes throughout the electoral cycle.
Benefita kunyaya yekuti ruzivo kuti pakuvhota especially kuvanhu vane madisability kuti uri wakupinda kuvhota kwacho unofanira kutsvaka munhu waunoda unoenda naye kudini pakuvhota kwacho unonga ari kuziva unotaurirana naye kuti pauri kuda chaipo chaipo zvisingazozivikanwi ne-third kana 40 person.
The post-elections were very interesting to me just because it was my first time voting. So ndandine that enthusiasm ndaitonzwa kufila pushed kuti I have to go and vote, and given the fact that I had so much information about these elections, it was just something chandakafarira. I was getting my information from Gavazo community radio specifically, and I could get the information through my social media. I think it was very credible, given the fact that my TVs, for example, ZBC, tatsingambonya information yakanyanyowandisa, like it is specific, like as a young woman you have to go and vote. But per WhatsApp, for example, say vanhu vari young, tagara WhatsApp ndo yatinonyanyoshandisa, social media ndo yatinonyanyoshandisa, Twitter, Facebook. I think media did cover all the information that we needed, especially as young people and especially as first voters. Like before like the 2013 elections, I didn't have any access to media, and I didn't anything to push her to go and vote. But yes, Pandakawana access to media, and that's where I got access to information.
We noted that there was broad coverage of the issues, not only in urban areas, but also the sources of news. They were also rural based, and also there were women.
Ma community radio mapepa nawo mukati mwenharaunda yedu zvakatibatsira zvakanyanyisisa. Mukati mwenharaunda yedu mwanga musikafambi pepa nawo. Mukati mwenharaunda yedu musina another radio kuti waimbozwa imwe radio. Asi pakauya ma community radios tanga takunzwe chokwadi chaiyo zvamamirira zvakaita. Tanga takuziva kuti radio haiziri radio imwe chete yokuti takangotarisa radio Zimbabwe kana yatotadza kutobata radio Zimbabwe akusitora kana pochatonzwa dzimwe nhau. Tanga takutonzwawo nhau makuseni, masikati, manheru uri mubhurangeti wakaata peshe unongozwawo nhau dzichitotaurwa. Weitozwa kuti neropa rinotohamba kuzwa kuti zvangu zvinokumbatoita. Nditotoenda pasarudza apa zveshuwa zvavari kureketa zvezvo ndo zvemene zvinoda kuti ndindoita. Takanyatsogutsikana takaenda kusarudzo tiine chinangwa chaizvo chemunhu wandainzwa pakati pemwoyo wangu ndiye wandiri kuda kunosarudza zvisina kumbunyikidzwa kana kudini kuti vanga vatidzidzisa kuti tinopinda sei mukati mwesarudzo.
The program sought to enhance accessibility to a variety of credible and relevant information around the election process, and we feel that this was accomplished mainly through the ZimFact platform, which mainly revolved around fact-checking public statements made either by public officials or even campaigning political parties. You will find that under the ZimFact initiative, we were able to partner with organizations such as SIDE And this was very much useful and relevant in tackling issues to do with disinformation online. We were able to partner with organizations such as Gender and Media Connect in ensuring that processes around the Investigative Journalism Fund were gender mainstreamed. And we also partnered with the Editors Forum in terms of rolling out and popularizing the Investigative Journalism Fund. So one of the key lessons that we learned was the value of partnerships and collaborations.
As the Zimbabwe Republic Police, we are satisfied with the way media covered most of the events. Basically, I would say there was wide coverage of all events before, during, and after elections. I think this was the best coverage that is in comparison with previous years. This time around, it was not only the mainstream media, but all other private actors were also participating, and they were giving out messages, especially on peace, throughout the coverage.
As the project neared its end, several journalists were recognized for their work at an awards ceremony.
We appreciate the role which was played by media. Media did a good job in terms of coverage of these elections. There was much work which was done in terms of giving the capacity to journalists in covering elections.